The Buffalo Bills won, but do they really feel like winners, or should they be concerned after a lackluster performance? The Bills faced the Miami Dolphins in the opening round of the playoffs and narrowly beat them by 3 points. It's a margin that seems reasonable had the Dolphins been with their starting quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, who wasn't available for the game after suffering a second concussion on the season. So the reason why we're bringing up Tua is that he beat the Buffalo Bills in Week 3, where he threw 18 times for 186 yards, scoring 1 touchdown, having 0 interceptions, and only got sacked once. As opposed to the Bills' quarterback counterpart, Josh Allen, who threw the ball 63 times for 400 yards, scoring 2 touchdowns in the process and getting sacked 4 times. The point is, Tua Tagovailoa's presence made a difference and would have impacted the result. No one needs to argue that Tagovailoa is a better quarterback than the Dolphins' third stringer, Skylar Thompson, especially after what we witnessed on Sunday, which is why the Bills and their fan base should be concerned. They nearly lost a game to an inexperienced player at quarterback. Had it even been the Dolphins' first backup quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater, who was also nursing an injury, the game would have swung in favor of Miami, and the Bills would be debating whether or not to keep their head coach, Sean McDermott. But it's not all of the coach's fault, and here's why. Offensively, the Bills were a juggernaut and well-balanced. They threw the ball 39 times and ran it 26. Those numbers indicate that Buffalo wanted to keep the Miami defense on their toes and not be blatantly predictable by throwing the ball all day long. They wanted to establish the run, not just because it would open up the passing game, but it would also allow some diversification in their offensive game plan. The problem is, they didn't run it all that well. The Bills' main running back, Devin Singletary, only had 10 carries for 48 yards and 0 touchdowns. That's 4.8 yards per carry, which is decent, but it is a small sample size. The number 2 running back, James Cook, carried the ball 12 times for 39 yards, scoring 1 touchdown. He averaged 3.3 yards per carry, which is also a bit on the low side. The 2 running backs combined for 87 yards from 22 carries, which is considerably below average. They failed to hit the 100-yard mark, and despite scoring that touchdown, they had very little impact on the game itself. The third runner of this Bills team was quarterback Josh Allen, who had 1 designed run play and 3 instinctive ones, which he took for 20 yards. When Allen runs, it's usually a result of him seeing an opportunity in the play to break free on a long run. The longest recorded run against the Dolphins in that playoff game was only 12 yards, but that wasn't Josh Allen's biggest problem. His main issue was turnovers, as he threw for 2 interceptions and was sacked, which resulted in a fumble. That's 3 turnovers from a man who was primed to be the league's regular season MVP. While watching the game, everyone took a moment and felt how uncharacteristic it was for Allen to throw so many interceptions in one game against a team that they just beat under a month ago. Allen in that Week 15 at home to the Dolphins threw 40 times for a pass completion percentage of 62.5%, scoring 4 touchdowns, having 0 interceptions, and getting sacked twice. And this game, where the pressure is raised just a little bit because it's a win-or-go-fishing kind of scenario, Josh Allen threw the ball 39 times for a pass completion percentage of 58.9%. He did score 3 touchdowns, but was also sacked 7 times. 7 times! That is the most he has been sacked in a game all season. So all of these numbers tell us that it is not only possible to get Josh Allen to create pressure, but that Allen is also vulnerable as a quarterback and is able to cough up interceptions and lose the ball by fumbling it. Now don't get us wrong, Allen is an excellent quarterback who knows how to score and get the win that he did against the Dolphins. But the victory was more like they stumbled into it rather than claiming it as though it was their right to win, because the Dolphins had their number. Now, you wouldn't think so, especially since the Bills were up 17-0, but Miami clawed their way back into the game through field goals and that 1 touchdown pass from Skylar Thompson to Mike Gesicki. Now, they tied the game with under a minute to go, and they're trailing again at halftime by a field goal. But again, the Dolphins took the lead, which is an outcome that should not have happened if they are playing with a third-string quarterback. And the team they were facing is at home and is the number 2 seed in the AFC. It's nuts to even conjure up the notion that the Dolphins were the better coached team because they had fewer weapons at their disposal. Everything goes through the quarterback. All the plays, all the decisions, and all the pressure is on the shoulders of one man. Luckily for the Bills, that man wasn't ready for the big occasion. The Dolphins coaches knew it, the fans felt it, and everyone watching saw how Skylar Thompson made his team burn timeouts because he was about to lose yardage on a delay-of-game call. Thompson took too long to snap the ball on 5 occasions, which not only burnt valuable timeouts but also penalized the team in yards. There was a situation where the Dolphins had a 4th-and-1 scenario with time running out in the game, and they just had to get it over the yard mark when Thompson caused a delay of game, pushing them back 5 yards and making it a tougher job to get the first down. The inexperience and lack of knowledge from Thompson saved the Bills, and they should count their lucky stars. If we were fans of Buffalo, we should be extremely concerned. Now, the next game is against a team that has a quarterback who has been to the Super Bowl and has coped with the pressures of the position. They are also a team with a superstar wide receiver and a defense that will cause more problems than Miami. The Cincinnati Bengals are confident going into Buffalo and will certainly match this team up and down the field. But there is an intangible factor that should not be ignored, and their matchup will also remind players of the last time these two teams met, when the game was canceled after a player, Damar Hamlin, collapsed on the field. It will be an emotionally charged game for the Bills, which is why they should be concerned about not letting their emotions get the best of them. The Bengals are a finely tuned machine of a football club that now has won 9 straight games in a row. The Bengals don't mess around and have a healthy first-string quarterback in Joe Burrow who wants to spoil the Buffalo coronation and get back to the AFC Championship game. But the Bengals' prowess, both defensively and offensively, is not the only concern that the Bills should have. Here is what should concern them the most. The Bills tend to switch off when they are in a comfortable position in the game, when they feel that the other team won't catch them or that the balance of the game is swinging in their favor. That's when the Bills take their foot off the gas and allow teams back in. They did so in the first half against Miami after leading 17-0 against a nobody quarterback, and they might do so again against the Cincinnati Bengals should they find themselves up by more than 2 scores. It isn't a case of lack of preparation or readiness for this type of situation, but more to do with a chemical reaction in their minds, which suggests that there's nothing to fear. Therefore, the intensity and aggression takes a dip. It's a concern that should not be dismissed so casually. But the Bills have a lot of work to do. They need to sort out their running game so that the passing attack can thrive. They need to give Josh Allen better protection so that he doesn't get sacked 7 or more times per game. And Josh Allen needs to make the correct decision when releasing the ball, rather than the instinctive one which has resulted in a couple of interceptions. The Bills will open the game against the Bengals, not understanding their opponent, and that will give them a lead. But it's how they behave and perform once they have the lead which will determine their Super Bowl destiny. The Bills are in a good place, which is why they should feel concerned if they want to stay in it. Do you think the Buffalo Bills should be concerned? Please let us know in the comments below, but before you go, if you still want to watch some awesome NFL content like this, please watch the next video that will pop on your screen.